Hey y'all, welcome to the Medicinal Melange podcast. I'm Elizabeth, a clinical herbalist, medical astrologer, and the friend that won't let you gaslight yourself out of your own brilliance. This is where we take the guesswork out of your wellness journey and take back your autonomy in healing your body, aligning with your chart, and shedding light on your highest self's actual timeline, not the one capitalism tries to rush you through. If you're into no BS astrology, radical self-honesty, and levels of devotion to yourself you were told were too much, you're in the right place. Today we are jumping into Sagittarius. If you caught my episode on Gemini, Sagittarius's sister sign, you know that Gemini sees all the cogs in the machine. It sees the details that makes things and people work. So having that in mind, Sagittarius takes the detailed ideas of Gemini that live in the brain and gives it expansion, gives it legs. Even their representations are tied together. Gemini, the twins, is where one thing becomes two. But with Sagittarius, we see two things, man and horse, that become one. Other ways to think of sister sign connection is if Gemini is a short journey in the neighborhood, a walk around the block, anywhere basically you can get by car. Sagittarius is that long ass eat, pray, love journey that takes you abroad over a large body of water. Now, before we get into any episode, I like to talk about my favorite astrology that's going to be coming up in the next week. And honestly, I'm really feeling this full moon in Aries. Yes, I know I've been talking a lot about it recently because this is my first full moon practice that I get to enjoy with members of the Moon, which is my monthly subscription that I offer. Right now, I do have doors open. If you want to check it out, just head to themedicinalmelange.com. But every month, I meet one-on-one with clients that want to see what's ahead for the next month, want to know, okay, what's the special way that I can unblock this stagnation or this whirlpool that keeps sucking me under mentally. And we get to deep dive together using the moon method. I get to use astrology and psychology to help you unblock those patterns and build something that's resilient and will stand the test of time no matter what life throws at you. The other portion of the moon membership lies in the community aspect. Every full moon, or rather right before the full moon, we meet as a community to learn about the full moon, to talk about special rituals that you can do under that full moon, to call in the most powerful, the most abundant version of yourself. And the full moon in Aries lets us review how Mars sits within our body. Are we replying, yeah, sure, when somebody asks us to do something that we don't want to do? For me, while I was studying Mars and re-studying and going over other works that were talking about Mars recently, I realized how many people the universe has taken out of my life that had a blocked Mars, right? They were operating in a capacity of a blocked Mars. And I wondered if I had all of these people exiting out of my life with the same little key detail that a blocked Mars shows. I wondered if I was operating that way. I'll tell you what it was. I had a lot of people. If you listen to the Say It With Your Chest episode, I specifically talked about my former business partner that did everything under the cover of night, smiled in my face, had dinner with me, talked about, expansion and hiring new people, like even the day before all of this went down, before she made the moves that she did. When I look at it now, I'm like, oh, that's a blocked Mars. Because had she had the confidence to stand in her convictions, to not be weak. When you ask a Mars a question, the response is never, I don't know, because Mars always knows. So when that person that I was asking for details and why was this happening and this, that, and the other, and the response was either, I don't know, or I didn't tell you, or I couldn't tell you, that's a blocked Mars. And even recently, I had a friend that I decided to part ways with. It was really sad, honestly, but just we didn't have the same moral values. I'm sure we're all having that talk within our friendships and family dynamics and just outward people that we meet day to day. But it became very clear around the lunar eclipse that we did not have the same values. And they posted some hateful things, and I commented, well, no, we're not mad because of that. We're mad because you posted hateful things under the disguise of religion. And I know that they saw it because they kept commenting in their stories, but they never like opened the message. So again, that's kind of like the blocked Mars, where it's sneaky and under the cover of light or darkness rather. And it's never going to have a face to face. It's never going to have a confrontation because it will just quietly go away instead of saying it with their whole chest. That was a friendship I really valued. And instead of having a conversation of like, wow, maybe we disagree, and we lovingly release each other from each other's life. Like, I would have been happy with that. In my opinion, that would have been closure, right? But we don't always get that. Some people in our lives have blocked Mars, and a blocked Mars will never show up as doing the hard thing. A blocked Mars will show up as doing the thing quietly because you don't want to have any sort of accountability in the matter. I noticed people in my life as I continued to study what blocked Mars is kind of showed up as in day-to-day life. And I realized I surrounded myself with people, or rather, maybe I even called them in energetically because of potentially my own blocked Mars, but I was calling these people or having these people in my life for some purpose. And if nothing else, maybe it was to teach me about this, that my Mars had been blocked because there were so many things that I was flexible in. Most importantly, my boundaries, which is a blocked Mars. I would want this, somebody would want that. And I go, well, what's the big deal? Remember, I'm 29 degrees Virgo, so I'm basically a Libra and trying to keep the harmony. But, I would have some ideas. They would have other ideas. And I go, well, sure, we can do that. We can do that your way. Instead of sticking up for what I wanted, instead of saying the red flags I was seeing, I, basically just played along, did what they want, made my boundaries permeable, and helped them reinforce theirs at the same time. And what that did was take away the power and empowerment I had within myself to make them think that their power was higher, that I was helping lift them up. And maybe I was to a degree, but this full moon in Aries, I got to reassess where I was, let's say 3 years ago, and where I am now. And I am so unblocked in my Mars. My Mars is so on point that sky's the limit. I'm going after everything. Please believe, just because you're somebody who seems strong in business because you're making decisions does not mean that you're not acting like a bitch between you and other people's business dealings or behind closed doors. Many people have blocked Marses in different avenues of life. And so it's really important to sit and think about during this full moon in Aries, where is your blockage, if at all, right? Are your boundaries strong, but maybe with somebody else or other situations, sometimes they're permeable? Like, take note of that this time around. And on Monday, when we do have this full moon in Aries, release that permeable boundary, release that, I don't know, attitude, because Mars always knows. Release the need to feel comfortable and avoid accountability instead of saying the uncomfortable thing and holding your ground. So looking at Sagittarius, the Sagittarius type has a body that is built to move. It has rulership over the hips, so that's bones, sockets, thighs, glutes, your butt, everything. Movement itself is under Sagittarius's rulership. The sciatic nerve, so if you have pinched sciatica all the time, that's kind of focused on, partially at least, in the realm of Sagittarius. As you remember, Gemini has to do with the lungs. Gemini is the breath in, whereas Sagittarius, its sister sign, is the breath out. The body parts tied to freedom, flexibility, long sustained, long distance power, that's all Sagittarius. So if you're a Sagittarius type, as you listen, notice what your hips and your legs are telling you right now in this moment. Do they feel restless? Do they feel heavy? Do they feel strong? Do they feel free? Your body is your compass, and it's really important that we listen. For me, my Sagittarius is fourth house. And since I was very open about sharing behind the scenes of what I've been mentally thinking about as I think of this blocked Mars and uncovering these feelings and sharing them with God knows who on the other side of this microphone, it kind of is making my legs wiggle, right? Because Sagittarius, fourth house, the fourth house has to do with our deep rooted security. And so when I don't feel secure, my legs they don't like bounce, but they wiggle a little bit. And then my hands start fidgeting, but more so my first cue is in my legs. It's almost like when I was learning in college, a professor told me that is the manifestation of the anxiety. You're literally trying to flee from the area instead of face the anxiety that you feel in your body. I can tell Sagittariuses that have a true Sagittarian body, and then I can tell Sagittarius people that have a more Jupiter ruled body. And so there are two different types of Sagittarius. Most of the time you'll see long limbs, like a gangly sort of body. Taurus is sometimes shaped like a bull. Libras are often called owls, right? Because they have a big forehead, all knowing, blah, blah, blah. And Sagittariuses in the room have more horse-like features. They have strong upper legs that look like they're ready to take off at any point. In fact, a lot of times the true Sagittarius type will look athletic most of the time. Now, the key word there is look. It doesn't mean they are, but they do look like they would love to run. Could never be me, but if that's you, that's great. I will say if your chart features more of a Jupiter influence of Sag, you will have a more full body. If we use the athletic types to describe the other type of Sag, that looks like they could run for days, the Jupiterian influences would show up looking a lot more like a shot putter. Their faces are fuller, their jaw lines are nice and strong, and they always have this round little tip of their nose that kind of pokes out more than the rest. Their body is very strong and has a more upper body round frame, but smaller ankles. Kind of like, I don't know, Ben Franklin, if I had to choose somebody that Jupiterian look is. They're not going to be watery like the Cancer type, though. However, that's a great segue to just remind you after this episode, go back and listen to the Cancer type, because it's always good to go back and listen to the different influences that you might have in your chart that is superior to the Sagittarian type. No matter if you have this slender runner's physique or a more round shot putter's physique, the Sagittarian type both have larger teeth and typically longer straight hair. The mane is maning. It is beautiful. But the longer face shape kind of gives me the cues that you have a dominating Sagittarian body type instead of that Jupiterian. Restless energy in the legs is typical Sagittarian, but they love to laugh and think about the best people and the best outcomes. It's like having constant PMA, which is positive mental attitude, if you have not heard that one before. Because the Sagittarian type knows that luck and Jupiter, their ruling planet, always has things work out for them as long as they keep up with the positive mental attitude. When imbalances occur, they typically present mentally because the Sagittarius mind is always racing. And when they feel trapped or cornered, it could mentally feel pretty extreme. When you book a medical astrology appointment with me, I can look to see if there is, like, let's say, a square between the mutable sign Virgo and Sagittarius, both mutable signs, both running a little bit more with anxiety and nervousness. But that really sheds a light on how relentless anxiety is. And sometimes it stresses the body into a hyperimmune response and autoimmune diseases. For the Sagittarian type, if all else fails, and there is not a lot of support in the environment when their mental health is struggling, I always encourage them to go for a walk. The Sagittarian type needs to get moving. It is supportive for their vitality. If they're feeling under the weather, but they get kind of to a better point or a middle point, I always encourage outside airflow, outside exercise, because moving the legs increases the vitality within the Sagittarian type. When the Sagittarian type gets moving, this actually helps with their metabolism and like boosts the metabolism. However, when they're overstimulated and not getting that exercise and they're not able to run and just get outside, that's when it leads to burnout. Your body needs space, it needs movement, it needs almost like a meaning behind the motion. So, where in your body do you start ignoring that signal that's already pointing you towards the direction you need to go? That's what you want to follow. Now, as far as the best meal prep and diet to consider when it comes to the Sagittarius types, you typically want to eat, but you want to eat on the go. So it's important that you think ahead. The spontaneous energy is amazing, but a meal prep now and then to avoid crashes that steal your clarity are really going to be beneficial for Sagittarius. Yes, you're the one who's booked a trip on a random Tuesday because flights were cheap, or eats granola bars in the car because sitting down for lunch feels like a trap. The Sagittarian type also loves a good alcoholic drink, while still staying health conscious though, because this is a mutable sign. Now, some of you listening may be like, I don't drink. She's wrong. And not at all. It's important to remember that free will is the human experience above all else. And if you choose not to drink, that is absolutely awesome. And that also doesn't take away from the fact that typically Sagittarius types love a good drinky drink, which kind of leads me to my first part of the diet plan. We do want liver support. You cannot be maxing out the adrenals and pushing and pushing and pushing all the time without supporting your liver. So things like lemon water or eating lots of beets, this is really going to help support your liver. Also consider anti-inflammatory spices that you can include into your daily meals, because constantly going and having all of this fire energy, you need to reduce the fire in this fire sign's body. Including more aromatics will reduce the inflammation. I love the idea of a morning turmeric, ginger, lemon shot. Or if your body is a little cooler and you want something warm, cinnamon is a great addition to your meals. We do see some connections between the Sagittarius type and thyroid imbalances, specifically hyperthyroid. So soy is a great addition to your specific meal plan because soy stimulates a hyperthyroid response in the body. So if you're struggling with, let's say, a lackluster thyroid, this is going to be an addition. It's important to remember that even though we're talking about anxiety and just running and doing all of that stuff, this is a mutable fire sign. So you need to hydrate consistently. Maybe put a little tracker on your phone or on your watch. I know there's little trackers there. You're still a fire sign. And especially with all of this daily movement, we want to make sure that we're keeping up with our water intake to hydrate. I love the idea of Sagittarius above any other sign meal prepping. I think that this allows you to harness that nervous energy of your mutable sign and create every meal that kind of acts like a compass. It helps calibrate your body, right? And if we're just trying to down a granola bar or a bunch of fries on the way to our next stop, it kind of scatters the Sagittarian energy. We want to think of expansion instead of crash outs. The best herbs for Sag rising Well, you're going to want those liver supports. You're going to want that nervous system support and this sense of spiritual freedom. Here's what I mean. Nervines are fantastic herbs for the Sagittarian type because they honestly help you hold your horses, as it would be said. It helps hold your horses internally. Nervines help support and soothe your nervous system. Adaptogenic herbs are also great. These are mood boosting, stamina increasing without the crash out sort of herbs. I've talked in the past of how much I love ashwagandha for thyroid imbalances. However, with it being Sagittarius and it being more of a hyperthyroid response, I love something like dandelion or astragalus root. Now, since we are considering thyroid inhibiting herbs, hyperthyroidism, like I said, is noted for the Sag type. So lemon balm and motherwort are my go-tos for those that need to inhibit thyroid function. And again, if you remember my Taurus episode, I do not recommend lemon balm for the Taurus type. And similar to Gemini, Sagittarians sometimes need sedative herbs. I love skullcap because with all the nerve tonic herbs that are also sedatives, skullcap works specifically on relaxing the muscles in the body. If you've tried my sauna tea, you've had skullcap. Sauna tea relaxes the muscles and helps with accelerating the healing within the body to repair the muscles quickly as you break them down and building them back up. Whether it be through workouts or if your job is hard on your body, this is definitely a tea that is great for the Sagittarian types or anybody that has to work with these large muscles. As you enjoy these herbs through teas or tinctures, or maybe you just sprinkle them in your food, make sure if you are a Sagittarian type to pause because we need to slow down that wild horse drive inside of us. Instead of running, we just need to feel in our body sometimes. Do we feel calmer? Do we feel lighter? Do we feel more free? Herbs aren't just medicine, they're teachers of this rhythm and release. And Sagittarians sometimes are so busy that they don't get to slow down and just enjoy that present moment. Now, as far as the best, absolute best workouts for the Sagittarian type, we still want to consider freedom. We still want to consider expansion and rhythm. So I'm thinking the number one choice for Sagittarius is absolutely hiking or trail running or rock climbing. Like I said earlier, Sagittarius is in my 4th house. So going on hikes really makes me feel rooted in my body and helps me release stress and anxiety. For the Sagittarian types, any type of movement in that just general, let's go for a walk, let's go for a light hike, that is really going to soothe your body and your nervous system. Also, y'all are the archer. So martial arts or just straight up archery, that is your go-to. Group fitness is okay. Sometimes, it's good to have an accountability partner, but you need variety. You want to feel like you have the freedom of choice above all else. So changing up the activity or the environment while also staying loyal to the class and your growth within it is very key. Above all, workouts in nature will always win over workouts in walls for the Sag type. Cardio is great, but cardio outside is going to be the best. So as we close out this episode, and before we look at what card we have, I want to remind you that Jupiter gives Sagittarius types big energy and big dreams and big impact. But when Jupiter is dysregulated, you're going to overextend yourself. You're going to say yes to too many things and then feel overwhelmed. It's okay to say yes because you love movement, you love expansion, but that really burns you out physically and emotionally, and above all else, energetically. So let's look at what message we have for the Sagittarian types. I pulled the Devil reversed. Now, this is a really beautiful card. It reminds you that going to extremes is fun and doing all the things and saying yes to all the experiences. Very fun, very on brand for Sag. But sometimes it's okay to sit within the body, to take that moment of presence. That's what I wish for all of you, and I hope that you see that embodied in the Devil Reverse. If you loved this episode, you will love the moon, my monthly membership where you follow along with the moon method, an astrological method I created that transformed the way you approach your daily life so you feel like an abundant Sagittarius, no matter what your sign is. We meet tonight for our first community event, but the enrollment doors don't close until October 10th. So be sure to sign up at themedicinalmelange.com. Also, my calendar is filling up for private events this season. So if astrology is your passion, like it is mine, email Elizabeth at themedicinalmelange.com and let's talk about having me read at your next event. October is pretty full, not gonna lie, but nothing breaks up the nervous energy of a holiday event like having a witty, tells it like it is medical astrologer. In person this month, you can catch me every Sunday at Deja Vu Esoterica, first Saturdays of the month at City Alchemist in Austin, Texas, third Saturdays of the month at Silver Moon Curios in Georgetown. That's a cute little green building off of Rock Street. And October 30th, I will be at the Stinking Rose on the north side of San Antonio in the Live Oak area. Lastly, with the holidays quickly approaching, make sure you subscribe to my emails. I'll be sending out lots of home recipes that you can gift to your party host, announcing online sales. I'm releasing holiday bundle sets at the end of the month, all with payment plan options. And we'll be opening the doors to the Sun membership again immediately after the holidays. So you definitely don't want to miss any of that, as I have chosen not to do any markets this holiday season. Okay, that's your Sagittarius episode. Remember that freedom is many things, especially as the astrology continues to astrologize. If you are the Sag type, ask yourself if the only thing keeping you stuck is the fact that you're ignoring the signal your body has already given you. Take a breath, feel your hips, your thighs, exhale. Ask, where is your inner compass pointing to next? That's your adventure. Tag me in your rituals, maybe your sunrise hike, a recovery smoothie, or that moment that you realize your next intuitive decision is already twitching at your legs first, not your head. Let me know if this episode resonated with you. I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see you next week with the Capricorn episode. And as a Cap Moon, I cannot wait. See y'all then. Talk to you then. Bye, y'all.